because it would be hard to see these. Let's try to walk where these things will walk. Look.
This is the tree they've been scratching out. This tree and that tree.
Yeah.
And now it's progressed to scratching her porch.
Dark behind the trailer, behind the shed. Crossing right here. We got a little bend right there. A lot of trail right here. That same one.
Yeah.
It's not a huge one, but you see the indentions of feet.
Yeah.
Right there. Traffic looks like it's going this way. Like there's one and there's one. This one could be a Bigfoot. It's with it.
Bipedal.
Yep, bipedal. And we also need to look in there for any disturbance. And there's disturbance behind it. Yeah, that's not naturally done.
Flip and come back around and tuck itself in that view.
Yeah, that's not storm damage. It's not wind damage. Another structure.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, this is.
And the trees even pulled
These
down.
are uncomfortable.
It's where the homeowner feels things watching. Spider web. Okay, let's see. Look, it's perfectly just to look right here. Stands right here to watch the house. No tracks coming out, but doesn't mean something's not in there.
You can see the toes and nothing.
Yeah.
Two.
This one too.
Three and then nothing.
Went to the tree. Another spider web. Exactly where we came in, where the spider web is not.
Mary, will you tell us about this area? We're here with Mary Kayleen, and she has known about the dogmen walking wolves since 1984.
Yep. My dad had moved from his double wide mobile home just around the corner from here, and he moved because he was all by himself, and my sisters had grown up and left, and so he bought a travel trailer. It was about a 30-foot travel trailer, and it was just right for a bachelor, and he had it parked right in here, just right here beside that tree. Grew up from a baby and covered over some of it, and anyway, so he enjoyed it and everything, and he could still stay in the country, but so had a good life. And well, I don't live very far from here, maybe a long block, and my daughter and I, we would walk up here every evening to see my dad, her grandpa. She was about 3.5, 4, and well, we both just loved it. And we would walk up this dirt road here from my house down here a ways, and we'd walk up here and come up and visit with him until it was about sundown. And it was always nice and quiet, and so we would leave before it got real dark. And so one night, I think my dad was feeling more lonely that evening, and he said to us, he said, "Oh, don't go." And so we stayed another 10-15 minutes, and he had a nice little fire there, and we enjoyed it very much. And so by the time we left his home, it was dark. It was just really near dark. And we went out the door and walked over to the little dirt road and started walking home. We walked down that road, and so we walked a ways, and we were hand in hand like always, and we started hearing footsteps in the hedgerow, and they were pretty noticeable. And so whenever we would walk, it would walk. And whenever we stopped to try to hear what was going on over there, the footsteps would stop. And so that happened 3 or 4 times. We'd walk, we'd stop, it would stop. And so my little girl was hearing it too. I know it wasn't a figure of my imagination. And so anyway, so we got down here past my neighbor's house, and we were kind of getting pretty alarmed about it. And we cut across this man's his property. It wasn't fenced in or anything. We cut across and headed up to my house, and there was a little bit of light from his outdoor, big tall outdoor light that kind of showed us our way a little bit. And so we went on walking up to my house, and we made it safely. And I kept looking behind me and looking behind me, and in front of me, kept looking down the road to see if something was going to cut across the road up to my house or what, and just never saw anything more. So I was relieved, and we sat down in a swing right up there in my front yard, and very, very shortly after we sat down in this big swing, we heard growling, and my daughter, she looked at me and she said, "Mama, did you hear that?" And I said, "Yes." Next thing we knew, it had moved behind us, and we never heard it move. And it growled again, very deep, guttural growl. Never heard anything like it. And I thought, first thought I had was there was a circus up north of town, and that some kind of a animal had gotten loose and made its way down here to the south part of town. And anyway, I told my daughter, well, we're going to get up off this swing really slow, and we're going to walk to the front door. And we did. It let us do it. I didn't know if it was going to let us do that. So we got in. We got in and made sure all the doors and windows were locked. And then I called the sheriff. And I told him about the experience and about those guttural growls, you know, and the whole thing that happened. And he did laugh, and he did think it was pretty funny. And he said well, in the first place, he was very skeptical of my story. He just, I don't know if he believed me or not. He didn't offer to send anyone out, and so, but he told me to call the Air Force Base, which was about 3-4 miles from where I live. So I did. I felt silly about calling him, but he said to, so I did. And I told him, you know, that the sheriff said to call him, and I told him what happened, and he said, well, we don't know what we can do, and we don't know why the sheriff told you to call us. And so, anyway, so the next morning, I got up, and sometime during the day, my dad had come down to my house, and I told him about what happened the night before, and I'm sure he'd never heard anything like that. And he just looked at me, never said a word. So then later, after my husband got up, because he worked very, very late at night, and so when he got up the next day or afternoon, I told him about it, what happened. And well, he says, well, it's just the cats making that growling noise. It's just our cats. No cat can growl like that. So anyhow, after that, I never told anybody about this. After I told those two, I never told anyone again for years about that. And then a man come along that I met somewhere, maybe online, and he was a Bigfoot. He'd had a Bigfoot experience, and he wanted to hear what happened, and so I wrote him the story about what happened, and he was really interested, but he really didn't know. He really didn't know what it was. We were walking down this road, and we got down about right in here, and we were just walking along, and we were hearing footsteps, heavy footsteps. They were bipedal, like a man, you know, or a person, and it walked the same way as we did. And so we got on down here ways, and I stopped because I wanted to hear it better, that noise. I wanted to hear that better. And so it stopped at the same time. So we kept on walking. And so we just kept on walking, and pretty soon we heard the noise, heard it walking in the hedgerow.
And now there's no street lights here.
No street
it's
lights.
Pitch dark.
Pitch dark. So we walked down there some more, and we started walking just like we did, taking the same steps like we did, you know. And so we stop again and listen. Let's see what we could hear from that hedgerow. So we just kept on walking, and that happened 3 or 4 more times. We just start walking, and it would just start walking. And well, we just never heard anything like it. My daughter hadn't either. And, you know, so we just kept on going, and there was a little white house here with a picket fence, and it was a retired couple that lived there. But he had passed away, and while he wasn't there that night, I think he had moved to a little retirement center. And so when we got down past this area here, we cut across. We started cutting across his property to go up to
get home
where
faster.
we lived, to get home faster and get us away
From this
the
hedgerow.
hedgerow.
Yes.
I wanted to get us away from there, and so about right there. We cut across about right there.
At that corner of their driveway.
Right about that corner. And cut across his property. There was a big night light back in there. It wasn't real bright, but it was bright enough that we could see that where we were walking and stuff. So we got away from that, cut across there, and I kept watching behind me, to my sides, and everywhere, front, and never saw anything at all. And so we got up in front of my house then, and sat down in the swing, big swing, and we had just got sat down, and something had growled at us, and I never heard another growl like it ever, and it was very deep guttural sound, and
You wondered if it was a tiger or
well, I didn't
something
know
like
what
big
it was.
big animal.
It
like
was a big animal of some sort to growl that deep and that big. It had to have been an animal. So my daughter says, "Mama, did you hear that?" In her sweet little voice, and I said, "Yes, I did." So about that time, whatever it was moved behind the swing, and we had our backs to it. And she said, "Did you hear that?" She asked me again. I said, "Yes." And I says, "We're going to get up off this swing very slowly. We're going to slowly walk to the front door and go in." And amazingly, and this is the truth, amazingly, it let us go in. I didn't know if it was going to let us get that far.
You handled it perfectly,
Thank you.
paying attention and just moving slowly because you knew predators will attack if you run, right?
Yeah, I've always heard that. And so we went in and made sure the doors were closed and the windows and everything locked. And I called the sheriff first, and then I called the Air Force Base, and they weren't interested. They weren't interested in that. And it's like I said, there's a circus up north of town, and I thought maybe a wild animal had got loose. And, so that was that.
So the sheriff was basically condescending.
Very condescending, yes. He was very skeptical of what I was telling him. He just thought it was funny, and he laughed about it.
Yeah, even though he could clearly tell that you
He had to.
were terrified.
He had to have known that.
And your father, but he didn't hear anything.
No,
that night.
no, he didn't hear anything. So, anyway, I did tell my dad the next day, and I told my husband the next day, and my dad just looked at me, and he really didn't know what to say.
He believed you. He just
But
had
he
no,
believed me, but
no,
he just didn't know what to say.
idea what it
Right,
was.
right. And then I told my husband when he got up the next day, he always got up like around noon or something because he worked late. And, well, he told me it was just our cats. He said, it's just your cat, just the cats. It was not cats. But I didn't even see the cats when this was going
That's
on.
important.
I didn't even see them. They weren't around.
Do you remember any smells or anything like that?
No, I don't remember any smells. Really, it just seems like I would have, but I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't hear or smell anything odd.
Do you remember if you prayed back then, or?
I think I prayed that there was angels around us.
Good, that's an important point. Good.
But yeah.
And then will you tell us about your daughter? She actually laid eyes on
She did.
it, yeah?
She did. She was well, let's see. She was a young, very young teenager at the time. She'd gone to bed, and she got in bed and everything, and just next thing she knew, she I don't even know if she ever got to sleep or what, but she looked up at the window. The window's about 7 foot off the ground, and she looked over at her window, and it was up, the curtains were up and everything, and she saw this big figure staring at her through the window, and all she could do was to just stare at it back, but she couldn't see its features. She could not see any eyes or nose or mouth. She couldn't see anything, but she could see its silhouette, and see its head, and she said it took up the whole window. Its head took up the whole window.
Is that the same window there?
What's there is the same
So
window.
we'll measure that.
Yeah,
window.
yeah, and so the moon had come up, and so she could see, and it was back behind the figure, so she could see the silhouette, of this creature, whatever. She could see its silhouette, kind of, but she just kept watching it until she didn't move. She was paralyzed.
Oh,
Yeah, she was paralyzed.
I can imagine.
And so she just laid there until she fell asleep, and then when she woke up, I don't know how much longer it was. Well, it was gone, of course. She might have not woke up till the next morning, but anyway, yeah, like it was gone.
Did she say ears or about the shape of the head? Did
She just says his ears were kind of floppy,
But it had visible ears, and they
But
weren't
she
like
did-
human ears.
No, they weren't like human ears. I asked her about the ears, and she said they were kind of floppy,
Like a dog's?
kind of like a dog.
Okay.
But dogs have different shapes of
Different types of ears.
ears and stuff, and that's about all she could tell me about it.
Is there wildlife over there normally? We heard the geese.
Just geese is all I.
Deer or...
Oh, there's deer. Yeah, I don't see the deer, but my neighbor, the man that owns that property, he sees deer, now and then.
Okay. But it's a very narrow strip, and so it's just traveling, and these trees have been bent a long time. You don't notice it when it's all green, but during
No,
this
you
time,
don't.
that's why we tell people to go out at this time of year once the foliage falls and look for the structures. And this is basically one long tunnel.
I know.
Some of these bends are very, very old, and then there's new ones and interwoven in.
Yeah, you can really see it now that there's no leaves. You know, they're all gone at this time of the year.
And you had someone come in and clean these, and you did a fantastic job.
Yes.
I mean, this is ideal,
Thank you.
so that you have a good clean line of sight.
Yes.
Because this used to look like this, different trees, but
this
just
looked like
covered.
this, but cedars way, you know, and
So
very
you were
full.
basically in a kind of in a tunnel here too, just between two thick rows of.
We were, and we couldn't see through the trees. They were the brush, you know, they're real bushy. The cedars are, especially at the bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would hear cars sitting out here on the road, but all I could hear was all you could hear would be their motors.
Right.
But you couldn't see through the tree to see what kind of car it was.
Wow, it was that thick.
You know, yeah, it was that thick.
There's God saying, I got you, Mary. I got you covered.
Isn't that cool?
That is
Look
cool.
up, but not with your mouth open.
No, I get you. I get you. I'm always so amazed to see him,
Isn't it
though.
cool?
Really cool. I noticed a few weeks ago when I came out here that something had come over the fence and had busted it's about the top 6 or 8 inches of the wire fence. So I wired it back as good as I could without bringing a bunch of wire out me.
And this is the hedgerow that was just thick cedars to the ground that you had trimmed up.
Exactly.
And then
Yes.
right here, just across this road, was the other hedgerow.
Right. That place that I thought was a pull down and that I was, you know, wanting to go over and check it and see.
Where you saw
And
that.
it was
found
real leafy
Uh-huh.
and it was pulled down.
And this was recent.
Yeah, very recent.
And as a regular would walk, see the fluff. This is where the stop happened, another stop. It's not a regular step. It's pointed this way. You can see the foot. But this is where a stop would happen. Right here. To be pointed out. Now when you follow these, you're watching the fluff, which way it goes. Here's another stop. And this pointed this way. And then now we're not only looking at the fluff here, but we're looking at the scrape in the snow. This is a lunge. This is a lunge. And this is picking up speed. The fluff is coming up more. Ooh. That was a run. Now this is a capture zone. This is where anything animals would have, or the animal didn't know which way to go, or it was surrounded.
But this is us reenacting that.
Yeah, this is us reenacting. This is just a tutorial.
But these are nothing to do with us. This is new.
Now.
That's a long distance. You got that tape measure?
Yeah. And also, when you're tracking, never step on the tracks. Just in case you lose them, you'll have these tracks to go to.
Even when I was running, it wasn't 5 feet. Oh, this is longer even.
Yeah. That's a longer one. There you go.
This one's almost at 7 feet.
Okay. 7 foot on that one. Okay, let's track this. See where it's going. Where it came in. My hands are cold. Got some that went, looks like 2, one going that way. How far does that go? Just to there? And we got another small animal over here. Yeah, that's what they're hunting. Right in there, too.
Come across there.
That's a small animal. But it came straight from across.
We're on the border. This is the hedgerow that the homeowner says they had the sightings in. And another side, more sightings.
It's called a spiral track. Go all the way around the home. Instead of walking in straight lines. And as we said the other day, we'll come back and look at this in just a moment. When you do a spiral track, you're going to find what's in your area. Really have to look at those over there in just a moment. But also when you walk around and leave tracks, that these predators know that you're scouting your area and you're looking for tracks. You're looking for them. Let them know by just doing a track, a walk around, to find what's in your area. Also, you're letting these creatures know. Now these are some small animals, but also things to look for. I'm still eating. But small animals draw in bigger predators. And the first day we made a smaller circle. Today we're making a bigger circle. And the next day we're going to make a bigger circle. Our tracks are going to let these predators know that we track and we survey our land. Old prints. If you was to follow my tracks, you would see, started off small, going in larger, like a spiral, just branch out. Again, we're just letting these predators know that we are looking at the land. Now when you're run back into your tracks again, go ahead, step in the same steps so you don't make a big mess, so you know what tracks are what. Now these are my prints on a spiral track around the area. But when you do a spiral track, you're going to cross these, whatever's in your area. You're going to cross those paths. If you do a grid, a straight line search, you're not going to find these tracks. If there are missing children, always do a spiral track. If there are missing people, do a spiral track. You will run across any predator's entry point. There's a nest up there. Way up the very top. When you do this, the predators know you're looking for anything. Remember, stay in your own tracks. Remember, you're going to have a drag and a fluff. Remember the other day we said something could be hiding in there. Could be even a possum, but still. Right in there. there's supposed to be that's a blind. And that tree pulled down right there, that's another blind underneath this whole tree area. There's another blind right in there. But there's a pond over there and a lot of geese in that area. And so we're talking about the fluff. If you're going that way, it's going to have a fluff up and a drag in. Drag in, the fluff up. Gives you a direction. This is when something stops. So we're going to branch off here and look at a few things. We're going to branch off right here. But we also want these things to know that we do know what we're looking for. There's a small animal jumping around. Remember, walk on the side of the tracks. Don't walk on them. So you keep your direction and their change. And you can see here, he came in, looked around, turned, went this way and turned again. And then doubled back. Urination. Discoloration. Yellow. Droplets. Urination. And the snow was a little harder here. Hopefully you can it's like I want to say it's a possum. Animal came inside the fence of the homeowner. But we're not looking for small tracks. Stay in your tracks so you know what tracks are what, and if you late them, because you have to look every day, your upkeep. So all these creatures know, big and small, not to be in this area. We're also not touching this area and this area or anywhere real close to the house besides these. We want to know if anything is coming close to the house, so we leave that area open undisturbed so we know if anything new has been disturbed. There has been the clicking sound heard often. In this area. And these are my tracks. I'm just following them back. Walking in the same steps. You don't need a lot of traffic out here. You just need to let these things know that you are tracking your area. Small animal. I could jump out here. You see the disturbance? Twist and a turn. You got the right here. And we also have claw marks.
Oh my gosh. Total transformation. Oh my god. I don't know how you, oh my gosh. I don't know how you did this. Oh my gosh. Oh, fascinating. You guys have worked so hard out here. How did you do this? Did you take a before picture? Because
this might be your new bedroom.
It may be. This is unbelievable.
You got another little bit of walk room in there now.
Oh, so much room. I mean, it's so better because the rug isn't all, like it was. It was going like that. It wasn't flat. Oh my gosh. Look at